All right, I'm live. I'm broadcasting now. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. I'm in the car on the way to CNN. Actually, on the way to a studio in San Francisco, where I will be broadcasting live to CNN. FBI has released documents. Have they? Hope you blow their head up. Well, CNN, it was nice enough to send a driver this time. I mean, they always offer, but I haven't always accepted. Do you have 5 of the same shirts? No, I wear the same. I only have one good shirt, so I wear it for all of my interviews. Does this look familiar? Have you seen this shirt before? Thanks. FBI has released new stuff on Clinton. What's it say? Is anything bad? I saw that Homeland Security is considering taking it over, but that doesn't mean it's happened yet, right? So I think the interview will be sometime around 12:10 my time, California time. So I think it's Brooke Baldwin. I'm not sure. Well, look at the polls. Trump's already pulling even or ahead in some of the polls. So, can he overcome the mainstream media's bias against him? The answer is yes. Have they told you the questions? So, you're probably seeing the news today about Trump's going to be interviewed by a pastor of an African American church. And there's all the buzz about, maybe the pastor who's going to interview him, in quotes, they may have talked with the campaign about what the questions will be, and people are acting like that's some kind of a surprise. He's a pastor. He's not a professional, reporter. So of course they talked about the questions because it's a friendly conversation. It's not really an interview in the typical sense. But friendly conversation though it might be, he's going to ask, what are you going to do for the African American community? And that's the same question the professionals would have asked. So the fact that he's ready for those questions, I don't think means much of anything. Yeah, it's very common to tell people at least what the topic's going to be about. Now, in my case, because I've been on CNN a few times, they may skip. I think they're going to skip the pre-interview, or maybe they'll call me before I go on air and say, we've got, these are the topics we want to cover. And that would be typical. That's the normal way these are done. And the reason for that is just to make it good television and to make sure that the guest looks good and is prepared. There's nothing nefarious about it. It's just the best way to do this particular thing. Most of the FBI release is redacted. Is there any surprises in there? I'll check the news before I go on the air, but I can't imagine that there are any big surprises in there, or the world would have stopped by now. What time are you on? I think it's going to be about 12:10 my time, California, which would be 3:10 your time, or 3:10 Eastern Standard Time. Are you in a tank? CNN does not pay for appearances now. Or at least they don't pay me. I don't know if they pay any other people. Some people they're professional pundits, so obviously they get paid. Oneonta. Yes. They keep quoting old polls. Yeah, I saw today the poll of polls, which is the average of the last 5 polls, which seems almost intentionally out of date, right? Because the new ones are the old ones that matter. If you don't ask, you don't get. I'm so not on board with the whole Harambe thing. I don't find it interesting or informative. I'm not even sure what his point is. Honestly, I don't know the point. What's it like to pivot my career in this opportunistic way? This is the plan I had since childhood, to pivot it just this way. Now, that the actual way it happened, I couldn't have planned, but this was always my plan. What is freedom like? It's pretty awesome. I hope you get a chance to try it. No, there's no fee for being on CNN if you're just a guest like me. Thanks. Is Trump a bad word in California? Yeah, you wouldn't want to be associated with him in California. It'd be dangerous. Announce I'm running in 2020. Oh my God, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea, because I have lots of time to change my mind, right? I'm sorry, I'm going to be laughing all morning about that, because it actually is a good idea. I could totally announce that I'm running in 2020, and I have plenty of time to change my mind if I did. That would be funny. With Kanye as my running mate. The only problem with that model is I'm pretty sure he would not want to be the vice presidential candidate. Only the rich have freedom. They won't pay for the wall, but they've already agreed to the wall. Yeah, Mexico never really argued that there needs to be a border. Apparently they have, border fence on their side as well. 2020. The only problem with running for president is it's just a terrible job. Why would I want that job? It just feels like it'd be throwing away 48 years of quality time of my life. Plus, I'm not big on traveling. If I were president, I wouldn't go visit other countries. I would tell them to come visit me. I'd say, look, it's a nice place over here. You should come here. Bring pictures. Are California girls easy? I wouldn't know. They're going to try to trap me on CNN? I don't think so. Physically, I'm in the car, heading down 580 towards San Francisco. Yeah. The answer is yes. Why did the polls tighten? I don't know what's going on with the polls. Will I be on Joe Rogan? Well, you'd have to invite me. That would be the critical element of that process. But I would go on his show in a heartbeat. I'm a big fan. So is Homeland Security running the election? It's an interesting idea, but here's the interesting thing about the Homeland Security and the elections. If our system is secure, why is it even being considered for Homeland Security? Right? So isn't the fact that we're even having the discussion about Homeland Security handling the election, is that not the government admitting that the elections are subject to rigging? And apparently easy enough to rig them that they are legitimately worried. And I think what they might be worried about the most is that someone else is rigging them. The problem is not that the elections get rigged. Stop it. The problem is that the wrong people will rig them unless unless they rig them against being rigged by the wrong people. I probably will tell her that. You know, I think there's probably a way to not rig an election, and here's how you do it. You go into the election booth. I just had this great idea, by the way. Follow along, see if you think this is a great idea. You go into the election booth with an app. I don't know if they let you bring your phone in there. There might be some law against that, but assume you can. You go into the election booth, and then you film yourself voting, and then you also click your phone to register the same vote. And then later you can compare the votes on your phone to the votes that were actually cast in your name. I don't know if your name is associated with the vote. Is it? Probably not, huh? Does the government have a database that would show who voted for whom, or is it just the votes? So they don't know who voted. Well, oh my God, no wonder the system is completely corrupt. It's been so long since I voted, I didn't know how that worked. All right, well, the easiest way to fix the system is a system where your name is associated with your vote. Must be anonymous. Must it? Yeah, I can see why you'd want it to be anonymous. But it seems to me this is like half an idea. Maybe you could flesh this out for me. It seems to me there should be some way that you could vote twice. Once on an app that's not connected to the voting system, and then once on the actual voting system, so that you'd have something to compare to the election outcome. I don't think I have this quite figured out yet, but you see where I'm going? Why vote once? Why not just vote twice? And then, it would be almost impossible to hack both systems successfully. But you need verification. I just think there's some way to do this. The exit polls, yeah, that's just an exit poll. I don't know how many companies do exit polls, though. So, if there are enough companies and are credible doing exit polls, I suppose that would tell you what you need to know. The Bill Maher Show did it for you. A blockchain. Yeah, maybe some kind of a blockchain solution for voting. Will they blur out my shirt? Would you vote if they did it this way? No, the reason I don't vote is that I don't want to bias myself. If you saw what I was tweeting this morning, and I also put it in my blog, further evidence that people do not make rational decisions. They rationalize their decisions. So the difference between me and all the people who vote is that I know I can't tell who's going to be the best president, but the rest of you are pretty sure you can, and that tells you that you're irrational, basically. Yeah, so I tweeted the Wall Street Journal images where it was the same story in the same day, but two different headlines, one saying that Trump was softening on immigration, one saying that he wasn't, but the article was the same. So it probably was some kind of A/B testing, or it might be that there were two versions of the paper, a morning and an afternoon, and they just improved the headline, in their opinion. Yeah, we do have to rationalize our decisions, or else risk insanity. That's the mechanism. That's exactly what's happening. Hillary will not step down before the election, but I do think Trump will be running unopposed if she has some health problems between now and then. Keep calling Don Lemon Bill Maher. That's pretty funny, actually. If she shakes his hand, well, isn't that interesting? I wonder if they will. Will Hillary be alive in a year? Not the way she looked this week. If you saw her most recent appearance, she looked like death warmed over. No, it won't be Don Lemon, although I would love to go on his show. He'd be fun to talk to. Thanks, glad you liked my shirt. The double end game, yes. You thought she looked fine? Yeah, I don't think you saw the pictures of her most recent appearance. Moderator list? Yeah, I did. Looked fine to me. Ask if they will rehire Dr. Drew. That's not really my department. No, they don't pay people like me to be on CNN. I think the people who are the regulars, I think, get paid. You know, they pretty much have to go on there every day. Suit and tie. Nah, no suit and tie for me. Ask if they found Dr. Drew's remains. We haven't heard from him lately, have we? Comb your hair. I used to have shirts with Dilbert on the pocket. Nobody bought them. Alex Jones was fine. I like being interviewed by more controversial hosts. It just makes everything more fun. You don't think it's sexist to judge Hillary's appearance? Why? Because only women have an appearance? Does that question even make sense? If I were judging her appearance on attractiveness, then that you could argue that was sexist. But I haven't heard anybody do that. I've heard people say bad things about both candidates, their appearance. But if you're 70 years old, that's really not that's not your strong suit anyway, is it? Alpha Force, I don't know what that is. Will you go on Morning Joe? I haven't been invited. Where do they film? In New York? I doubt I would travel to New York. So unless it was televised, probably not. And plus, they're really early in the morning, right? Yeah, I'm probably not going to do that. Am I enjoying my white male privilege? Totally. You going to try out my pepper theory? Helen Mirren might be an exception. Favorite restaurant in San Francisco? I like Greens, if that's a vegetarian restaurant. Didn't know cement documents were classified. That's possible. You can use hypnosis for anything. Did Alex give me the reach around? No, it was televised. We didn't have that opportunity. I mean, I was in a remote location on Skype. You knew I was going to pick Greens. Why doesn't anyone talk about Freud's dealer's role in this? Well, I don't know about YouTube's new rules. What kind of event would it take for Hillary to win? Just some new outrage, I guess. You ate at Greens 44 years ago. Has it really been there that long? Who should Trump hire to offset Godzilla? Well, that's the thing, is that Trump is King Kong himself. So, I don't think he needs help. you hypnotized yourself to quit sugar. Good job. I'll bet you feel different, don't you? How do I persuade mom to reduce her luggage? You cannot persuade your mom to do anything. That's Captain, my captain. What did YouTube do? I didn't catch that. Yeah, Tony Robbins would be great. I don't know that he would be available to Trump, but he would certainly have the skills. Yeah, you know, that press conference thing probably is not the big deal that we think it is. Yeah, I would say persuasion-wise, they're evenly matched right now. Trump's got a slight advantage in that he's willing to be more outrageous. And he can just take things further and get away with it. It's all within his brand. So he has a bigger toolbox. So in that sense, I guess he has an advantage. They won't pay for controversial content. Why isn't she doing press conferences? Just because she doesn't need to. You know, if she gets far behind, I suppose she would. No, I'm not on Gab. I just can't handle another app right now. I hope she's feeling better. I've noticed that a lot of Hillary's commercials have to do with, imagine President Trump. And that's why we say the mole is working on her team. What are you hoping to achieve by doing the CNN interview? That's a really interesting question. For those of you who have read my book, How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big, you probably already know the answer to that question. It's a system, not a goal. So I don't have a goal for the interview, but it's part of a system to do things well and do them out loud and then see what happens. So going on CNN is just, from my perspective, it's practice. I hope it's useful for the people watching it, and it will increase my visibility. And if I do a good job, people will say, hey, I remember that guy, and he did a good job, and maybe we offer him a book deal, or maybe we ask him to be a speaker at our event. Who knows? So there's no specific goal. But when you do something in public that you do well, good things happen. Start a cult. I think I already have one. And there are 466 people in it already. Are they going to censor you? No, it'll be a live interview. You're improving in your interviews. Thank you. I have more to talk about, just because the election's going longer. Do I have bodyguards? No comment. Has anybody offered you an election night gig? No. Well, I'll probably Periscope. Yeah, there's a pretty good chance I'll be Periscoping then. Do you think I should move to YouTube? Does anybody think I should move to YouTube? And what time is the interview? 12:10ish my time, California, which would be 3:10ish East Coast time. They will censor me by the new rules? Maybe. My content is not controversial, though. It's provocative, but not really controversial, because most of what I say is compatible with science. That's as far as I know. Upload periscopes to YouTube. Is that a thing? Can you upload a periscope to YouTube? I don't think that's a thing, is it? Will you periscope the interview? Probably not. would make more money than go to YouTube. I like your thinking. YouTube has comments I'll have to deal with. Well, I won't have to. I could ignore them. Somebody's already doing it for me. What do you mean? Somebody's already uploading my periscopes. Put your periscopes to YouTube. How do you do that? I don't even know how to. So can I save a periscope to a file? Cyber Durden is doing it. Yeah, I think I saw that. I don't know that the quality is good enough for that, but alright, I think I'm going to get off of here. And how's the picture, by the way? This is just screaming from my phone. Save it to video and then upload it. Yeah, I didn't know I had that option. Well, that might be a newer option, isn't it? Plug-in for... Oh, I need a plug-in to do it. Alright. A little pixelated. Thank you, John Glenn. Alright, well, I'm going to sign off for now. Make sure to watch me on CNN, and I'll probably check in with you over the weekend as well.